Hello everybody, Infinite Shinjo here, and welcome to episode 30 of Let's Talk Anime. I kind of wanted to do like a special video for episode 30, but I didn't have enough time to plan for something, so we're just going to talk about you guys' recommendations, requests, again. The more I'm recording these, the more that I'm realizing that I'm using a lot less time to just jump into this, so let's just start in with Bang Dream. Now, Bang Dream was recommended to me, I don't remember how or why, but I feel like it was recommended to me in the same video where I talked about Love Live or Aikatsu Stars. I think I talked about Aikatsu Stars. But with Bang Dream, I only watched the first episode, but it's one of those shows where I don't really have to watch more than 1 or 2 episodes to get the gist of it. All that I really need to do is learn who the characters are, and that's basically it. And I don't want this to be sounding like a negative, but after watching Love Live, Aikatsu Stars, and now Bang Dream, it's one of those things where I'm kind of getting burned out by school idol things. Now, this might be a bit of a hot take, I'm not sure, but the reason that a show like Zombieland Saga did it, in my opinion, better, first of all, they put a twist on it with the whole group being zombies, but second, they introduced the main character, Sakura, and her saying, "I'm gonna be a star," walks out the door, and spoilers happen, in case you haven't watched it yet. At least with that, it introduces you to the main girl, but then flips everything on its head. With Bang Dream and Aikatsu Stars and Love Live, it's, well, not really Aikatsu Stars, it's kind of in its own thing, but with Love Live and Bang Dream, it's kind of one of those things where it's the same cookie cutter formula, which, if you like that, that's alright, but Zombieland Saga just does it a little bit better in my opinion because it's unexpected. But let me get to Bang Dream. First of all, the props that I can give it is it does a good job of explaining how Kasumi gets to the point where she wants to perform. Because with Love Live, it's just one of those things where it's, say, a flashback, for example. She sees somebody performing on stage and thinks, I want to do that too. With Kasumi, she's just your average girl, and just by random happenstance, she sees a group performing in, not a library, in some sort of venue or something like that. And she's thinking that's cool. And kind of along the same lines as Yui from K-On!, where she can't play an instrument worth a darn, but she's got passion and charisma that she can do it. But at the same time, that also leads into the only con that I have. Kasumi is average. She's nothing really spectacular. She's just your plucky girl, always optimistic. And like I said, has that go-getter attitude, and she's just going to be like, yeah, I can do this. Who cares if I don't know how to play an instrument? I'm gonna do it. But at the same time, I'm not the demographic that watches these shows. The main demographic that watches these shows are younger kids, I'm assuming. Because if, say for example, kids watch a show like Death Parade, they're gonna be scarred for life. Which, if you haven't seen the last episode of Let's Talk Anime, I talk about Death Parade. Really good show, you should watch it. But considering that Kasumi is supposed to be representing a younger demographic, that's not surprising that she's always optimistic. See, with me, I'm kind of both, where I like to watch shows where the character's always optimistic, but at the same time, I like watching shows where the character is more realistic, where, I don't know how to play an instrument, but I'm gonna try. It's not just, I'm gonna do it because I have determination, which, determination's good and all, but it can only get you so far at the end of the day. I hope this didn't end up sounding too negative. I did like Bang Dream at the end of the day, but school idols are kind of one and the same for me at the end of the day, unless they do something different with it. And speaking of doing something different, the next topic for this is Kanata no Astra, or Astra Lost in Space. Oh boy, where do I even start with unpacking this? First of all, let me just say that I believe it was Sylveon that recommended this to me. I'm 90% sure that it was Sylveon, but there's always that 10% that I'm not entirely sure. But whoever recommended this to me, you deserve a big round of applause. Because I think I mentioned this before. It's a rare occasion where an anime that somebody recommends to me is the same anime that I end up really enjoying. The last one that I would say that was recommended that I really enjoyed was probably Love Chunibyo and Other Delusions. A lot of the other ones are just like, yeah, I enjoyed it. Not really my cup of tea. Not really something that I watch. But Kanata no Astra is very, very good. Now, let me just say, first of all, I'm gonna try not to go too into spoilers in this. I'm not really sure if I really can, because there's still one episode left from when I'm recording this. I'm recording this on the 13th of September. The last episode will be out the week after. I was considering waiting until that comes out, but I think what I'm going to do is wait until it's finished and record a whole Shinjo review episode for that, as well as Kimetsu no Yaiba and Danberu and other anime that I'm watching from this season, because Kanata no Astra is one of those shows where you just need to talk about it more than once. And I'm honestly upset that not many people are talking about it. Not many that I know, at least. The main reason that I know this show, aside from the recommendation, is JoJo Talks Too Much. I'll leave his YouTube channel down in the description. He's got more subscribers to me anyway, but whatever. But he's talking about it on his episodes during each week when he reviews it. And it's just fun for, first of all, me to watch it, not knowing anything about it, getting thrown in with all these plot twists. And then, next of all, the fact that you can watch somebody like JoJo Talks Too Much and see his reaction to each week's episode. But where do I get started? The whole cast is very, very good. The whole cast has that sort of personality there where you wouldn't think they would get along, but they do. And even just looking at this poster, I can remember every single character. Kanata, Funi, Luca, Charse, Ares, Zack, Quinteri, Olger, and Yunhua. And then later Paulina. Was that a spoiler? It might be a spoiler. But the fact that I can remember every single main character's name is impressive enough, because I'm kind of bad with names. I don't really remember characters' names that much. So the fact that I can just list off each character's name that much shows how good of a show this is. And the fact that it's done by Lurch, which Lurch anime kind of, I don't want to say flown under the radar for me, but there aren't many Lurch anime that I remember watching. This one is Lurch. I think the last Lurch that I watched was Asobi Asabase, which, another quality show by the way. But Kanata no Astra, the fact that, first of all, it's set in the future, so you can do whatever you want with it as long as you build the groundwork. People can just think, watch, and go, oh yeah, it's in the future, so it makes sense that they could do stuff like this. Like, literally going on an exploration to other planets to see if they're inhabitable. that sounds like something that would happen in the future. And the fact that there are plot twists everywhere, even small plot twists like Luca's backstory, or even plot twists like there's a traitor on board. I wouldn't call that a spoiler because it's established early on in the show, and the fact of what all the characters represent. That is the biggest one, because this is so hard because I want to talk about this more, but I don't want to. I'm stepping on eggshells because if you haven't watched this show, watch it. It's good. Like Death Parade last episode, I normally don't sell a show this much, but I really like it. And the fact that they even have good continuity, like Kanata has even said to Shars and Zack before, when I get my own spaceship, you are gonna be my right-hand man. And even Ares to Quinteri at the start of the show, she goes over to her and says, I want to be friends with everybody. And of course, Terry's the tsundere type of character that's just like, you think I'll be a friend with someone like you, Baka? But then later, Ares brings up again, hey, would you look at that? I'm friends with everybody. And this is going to be the last time I talk about this whole traitor thing, but even though they go in detail on every single character's backstory, which that alone is impressive that they flesh out each and every character. But they present it in a way that you could realistically make a case that any of the 9 could be the traitor. Like honestly, before the actual traitor was introduced, I was thinking of so many things like, oh, Kanata is the one that's holding the crew together. He's the glue that holds it together. But what would happen if the one that's holding this group together ends up being the traitor? That would have been interesting. Or even a far-fetched idea from me, but I was even thinking, what if Funi isn't the traitor, but the puppet that she has is? I'm not exactly sure how you could really explain that, but that would have been interesting to do. Or even just have Funi be the traitor all along, because Funi wasn't supposed to come along at first. They said, oh, everybody's got their own individual assignment alongside space exploration, and yours is to bring Funi along. If she would have been the traitor, that would have been interesting. But those are just a couple of thoughts that I have. I'm not going to go any further because that gives you 7 other suspects that you can figure out who the traitor is if you haven't watched the show. But with all the praise that I can give the show, there are some criticisms. First one, I can see that at the start there are some characters that you would see as annoying, like Kanata's super optimistic personality, kind of like Kasumi from Bang Dream, where you can see it happening, but if he's not grounded in realism, it kind of falls apart. Although at the same time, Kanata kind of has more of a backstory with why he keeps a smile on his face, so it kind of makes up for it. And the only other negative I can see is the opening and ending aren't really that memorable, which is a shame because the ending, I enjoy the ending, but there are times that I don't even remember that it has an ending, which that might be a case of they don't play the opening or ending in every episode. So it might be the fact that they don't use the opening and ending in every episode that makes it not as memorable. But at the end of the day, it's a good show. It's a stellar show. I was gonna make a joke and say that this show is out of this world, but I'm not gonna do that. Wait, crap, I did. And on that note, let's talk about another anime that was airing alongside Kanata no Astra, and that is Fire Force. Fire Force was not recommended to me from a comment. This is one that I'm throwing out on my own, because this show is good. I tried to hold back making a joke in the last one, but I'm not going to hold back this time. This show is straight fire. This show is very good. I've only watched 8 episodes, I think, something like that, 7 or 8, something like that. But I really like it. At first, the first opening wasn't really that memorable for me, but the more I watch it, the catchier it is. Although, let me just say that if it does come true, and I'm assuming it is because why wouldn't it? If episode 15 of Fire Force is out by now, which probably is realistically, if the second opening that I'm seeing online is what the second opening is going to be, I am floored, because that's probably one of my favorite openings. I'm probably using it as background music realistically because it's just a good song. It's called Mayday, and the fact that it has that hard rock vibe, it just hits me so good. But let me talk about the show. It's kind of funny that I just talked about how Kanata keeps a smile on his face through hard times, because Shinra does as well. I'm not going to go into detail on why Shinra keeps a smile on his face, but it is very disappointing. Well, not disappointing, it's very upsetting, let me say. And how, like in Kanata no Astra, they have a trader on board, they have the same thing with Fire Force, where there's somebody that's making these infernals come up, and they have to find out who it is. Oh, infernals are basically fire beings of humans. Like in the future or something like that, for some reason people can just randomly combust, and it's called spontaneous human combustion, I believe. And quite literally, Shinra and the other groups are the firefighters. Quite literally, firefighters. I know this is probably a very common pick to use for a video, but I really like this show, and I just wanted an opportunity to talk about it. And it's gonna be a while for me to discuss the show as a whole if I do, because it's got 24 episodes. So I've probably got a couple of months from recording this that I would even be able to discuss it again. And I feel like if I'm talking about Fire Force, let me know who you are backing. Are you backing Maki? Or are you backing... what's her name? The nun. I can't remember what her name is. Iris, that's her name. See, I would think that I would remember her name be Iris. I was actually about to call her Lily, but I'm thinking of Sister Lily from Black Clover. I'm not sure why. Let me know, are you backing Iris or are you backing Maki as best girl? Although I can probably see that there is a small percentage that's backing Tamaki, and I'm not going to go into too much spoilers here, but Shinra and what's his name? Arthur. Of course his name is Arthur. They're at the headquarters of the 1st Fire Brigade or whatever, trying to find out some deep underground secrets or whatever. Tamaki's over at 1st because that's where she works at. And I haven't watched the episode yet. The last episode that I watched was right where the big moment came down with Tamaki. But just from what I'm seeing, from how that's playing out and how the opening is looking, it really looks like Tamaki is going to join their group. Although it's kind of a moot point to bring it up now, because if I'm right, the episode's already out anyway. And if I'm wrong, oh well, it's fun to have speculation. I literally spent 10 minutes describing who could be the traitor in Kanata no Astra. Well, not really 10 minutes, more like 2. But in case you haven't caught on, Fire Force is done by the same person that makes Soul Eater, which I'm watching through Soul Eater right now, so it's kind of cool that I'm watching Fire Force and Soul Eater at the same time. Especially when Shinra smiles, because that sharp-toothed grin can only be used by him and Soul. But that's really all I can talk about with Fire Force without going into too much details. Let me know what you think. Oh, the ending is also good as well. Honestly, Fire Force does a good job of using music in its show. But let me know if you watched this. Let me know if you enjoyed this. Even though I did kind of already mention this in an Empyrean episode, but whatever. It's never a bad thing to talk about Fire Force again. But that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know if you enjoyed by hitting that like button down below. And subscribe if you haven't. If you have any topics for me to discuss, leave them down in the comment section. And since I have a couple of Let's Talk Anime episodes backed up, I should be fine. I should be able to get them out more regularly, just as long as I keep on getting requests. This is Infinite Shinjo, and I'm signing out. Momentai.